You ever have someone walk onto your land, your home, the place where your heart beats, and try to rip it all away like it's theirs to take? That's what happened to me, Tom Hargrove, out here on the edge of Willow Bend, Texas, where the sun sets like a slow fire and the mesquite whispers secrets older than my family's name. It wasn't just about a creek or a horsey, it was about a woman named Deborah Vance who thought she could own my world, my daughter, my peace, and I'll be damned if I didn't make her regret it. It all started one late afternoon, the kind where the horizon's painted gold and the air smells like dust and freedom. I was out by the east fence, fixing a post the wind had knocked loose, my hands rough from years of working this land Hargrove's Hollow. We call it. Been hours since my great-granddaddy staked it. My daughter, Ellie, 16 and tougher than she looks, was riding her mare, Ember, along Sage Creek, her laughter cutting through the quiet like a bell. That sound, man, it's the kind of thing that makes every blister and bad day worth it. This place isn't just dirt, it's us, our blood, our story. But there was this shadow hanging over us, one I'd tried to ignore for months. Deborah Vance, president of the Pineview HOA, this gated community that sprung up like a weed on the edge of our land. She was all fake smiles and power trips, her nails always perfect, her clipboard like a scepter. She'd been sniffing around, claiming Sage Creek, our creek, was somehow HOA property, spouting nonsense about community access and shared resources. I'd brushed her off, thinking she was just a noisy neighbor with too much time. But that day, as the sun dipped low, I heard something that turned my blood to Firelli's scream, sharp and raw, slicing through the dusk. I dropped my hammer and ran, my boots pounding the earth, heart hammering like it was trying to break free. Every father knows that scream, it's not just fear, it's your whole world crying out. I tore through the cottonwoods, branches clawing at me, and when I hit the clearing by the creek, what I saw lit a rage I didn't know I had. Deborah, in her pressed blazer and pearls, had Ember's reins in one hand, yanking so hard the mare was rearing, eyes wild. And Ellie was on the ground, her cheek red where Deborah's hand had struck her, her lip bleeding, her eyes wide with shock. This is HOA land now. Deborah was shrieking, her voice like nails on glass, waving that damn clipboard like it was the law itself. Get your little delinquent off my creek. Ellie, trembling but defiant, pushed herself up. This is our land, Ms. Vance. Ember and I ride here every day. Deborah stepped closer, looming over her like a vulture. Not anymore, you don't. You think you're above the rules? I'll teach you respect. She raised that clipboard like a weapon, ready to swing again, and something in me snapped. I didn't think, didn't pause, I moved. Drop it, Deborah. I roared, my voice shaking the air like thunder. She froze, her eyes flicking to me, and for a split second, I saw fear. Then her face hardened, that smug mask sliding back into place. Oh, look, Sheriff Hargrove, she sneered, spitting my title like it was dirt. Here to protect your little trespasser? This creek's ours now, by board order. You can't stop progress. I stepped closer, my badge catching the last light, my voice low, dangerous. This is my land, my creek, and that's my daughter you just hit. You're done here. She laughed, sharp and ugly. You? You're nothing but a cowboy playing cop. I'll have your badge by morning. My jaw clenched so hard it ached. I wasn't just a neighbor anymore, I was the law, and she'd just crossed a line she couldn't uncross. If someone came for your family like that, what would you do? I didn't call for backup, didn't hesitate. I grabbed those reins from her hand, swung up onto Ember, and let that mare do what she does best. She reared high, hooves slashing the air, landing so close to Deborah's feet that mud sprayed her pristine outfit. She screamed, stumbling back, her clipboard flying into the creek. You're insane, she screeched, her composure cracking like cheap glass. I leaned down, eyes burning. You want to play queen? You picked the wrong kingdom. Before she could scramble up, I was off the horse, my boot pinning her wrist to the ground. You're under arrest, I growled, snapping cuffs on her so fast she barely blinked. Assault, trespassing, start praying, that's all I charge you with. She thrashed, spitting curses, her perfect hair matted with dirt. You can't do this. I'm the HOA president. I yanked her up, my voice a blade in her ear. Funny, they didn't mention that in the penal code. As I dragged her to my cruiser, her eyes burned with venom, promising this wasn't over. Ellie stood by Ember, tears mixing with dirt on her face, but her chin was up, strong. I looked at her, then back at Deborah, and tightened those cuffs just a little more. "Let's go, Your Majesty," I said. "Your throne's waiting." That night, I sat at the kitchen table, coffee cold, my wife, Clara, cleaning a cut on my cheek where Deborah's clipboard had grazed me. The house was too quiet, the kind of quiet that feels like it's holding its breath. Clara's hands were steady, but her voice wasn't. "She's not done, Tom. You saw her eyes, she's not the type to let this go." I clenched my fists, the leather of my gloves creaking. "Let her try? She touches Ellie again. Prison'll be the least of her worries." Clara didn't say anything, but her look said enough fear, yes, but also fire. We both knew this wasn't just about a creak anymore. It was personal, a war Deborah had started, and I'd be damned if I didn't finish it. Then the phone rang, shattering the silence. It was Ray, my deputy, his voice tight. "Sheriff, you need to get to the South Barn now. It's burning." I was out the door before he finished, Clara right behind me, her face pale but fierce. The drive was a blur, headlights slicing through the dark. When we crested the hill, my stomach dropped. The barn was a wall of fire, flames clawing the sky, sparks falling like hell's confetti. My ranch hands were out there, hoses in hand, fighting a losing battle. I shouted, "Ember, did you get her out?" Ray's face was grim, ash-streaked. "We tried, Tom. Fire spread too fast. We couldn't." Then Doc Miller, our vet, ran up, out of breath, his eyes dark. "Tom, it wasn't just the fire. Ember was poisoned, something fast, deliberate. She never had a chance. Poisoned." The word hit like a gut punch. This wasn't an accident. This was murder, cold and calculated, a message written in flames. I didn't scream, didn't cry, I just stood there, staring at the inferno, a growl building in my chest that wasn't human anymore. Deborah Vance. I saw her face in the fire, that smug grin twisting into something evil. Clara grabbed my arm, trembling. "Tom, what are you going to do?" I looked at her, my voice ice. "What I swore to do. Bring them down, be the book if I can. But God help them if I can't." The fire roared, but the one in my soul burned hotter. By dawn, the barn was a blackened ruin, smoke curling like a ghost over the wreckage. Ellie sat on the porch, curled up, her eyes empty. She whispered, "Ember's gone, Dad." I knelt beside her, swallowing the knot in my throat. "Not gone, sweetheart. Avenged." I meant it, every word carved in stone. Inside, I tore into my office, ripping open a drawer where I kept trail cam SD cards. I'd set them up for coyotes, not criminals, but now they were my only shot at truth. The first 2 cards were melted, useless. My hands shook as I slotted the third. It blinked green, and I exhaled like I'd been underwater. The footage loaded grainy, night vision, but clear enough. 3 figures crept toward the barn, gas cans glinting, bolt cutters flashing. Then a face came into focus, Travis Vance, Deborah's son, all of 19, grinning like this was a game. Next to him, Eddie Slick, Carter, a lowlife I'd busted before, and some wiry kid I didn't know. My fist hit the desk hard. I played it again, caught headlights in the distance, parked just off my land. Someone was watching, pulling strings. Deborah. This wasn't just spy, it was greed, a plan to break me, to take the creek, the land, everything. I called Judge Carter, my voice shaking with rage. "I've got evidence: arson, conspiracy, animal cruelty. I want warrants for Travis Vance, Eddie Carter, and that third punk. Today." The judge didn't hesitate. "You'll have them by noon." I hung up, my reflection in the laptop screen looking like a man I didn't recognize, eyes hard, jaw set, ready for war. The law was my weapon, but deep down, a darker voice whispered, if the law failed, I wouldn't. Deborah had drawn blood, and I was coming for her empire. We hit the streets before dawn, my cruiser leading a convoy that moved like a pack of wolves. My knuckles were white on the wheel, every muscle tight. This wasn't just police work, it was personal. I killed the engine a block from Deborah's overdone mansion, all white columns and fake charm. Her porch light glowed like she was untouchable. Not today. I signaled my Team 3 simultaneous raids, no mistakes. My boot hit her door with a crack. "Sheriff's Department, open up." Silence. Then her voice, shrill and smug. "You have no right." I didn't wait, rammed the door down, wood splintering. She stood in the hall, silk robe and all, clutching a coffee mug like a shield. "You can't," she started, but I cut her off. "Travis." Hands where I can see them. We found her son in his room, shoving a duffel bag under the bed. I yanked him up, slammed him against the wall. "Planning another fire, kid?" His face went pale. "It wasn't me, Sheriff. Mom said she said you needed to learn your place. Said she hated that horse." His voice cracked, tears streaming. I cuffed him, shoving him toward Ray. "Get him out of here." My radio crackled. Eddie Carter was running. I bolted outside, chasing his shadow through the dawn, thorns tearing my sleeves. He was heading toward my land, toward Sage Creek. Then I heard Itelly scream, again. My blood roared. I saw her at the clearing's edge, frozen, as Eddie lunged for her. I tackled him, hard, both of us hitting the dirt. My knee pinned his back as I cuffed him. "Touch my daughter," I snarled, "and you'll wish for prison." Ellie was safe, trembling but unharmed. I stood, chest heaving, and swore this ended now. Back at Deborah's, I caught her slipping out the back, a shredding truck in her driveway, boxes of documents ready to disappear. I grabbed one before it hit the shredder mails, damning ones, linking her to Victor Lang, a developer with dollar signs for eyes. She wasn't just a tyrant. She'd sold our creek, our land, for a payout, a deal to turn our home into condos. I looked at her, mud on her robe, and smiled cold. "You're done, Deborah." The courtroom was electric, packed with folks who'd once kissed her ring, now whispering her name like a curse. Deborah sat there, all in black, pearls gleaming like she still owned the place. Victor Lang was beside her, his suit screaming money, his face blank but smug. I gripped the railing, knuckles white, as the prosecutor, Ellen Hayes, laid it out. "This isn't about HOA rules, it's about greed, conspiracy, and a family's pain." She held up those emails, each one a nail in their coffin. When I took the stand, I didn't hold back. I told them everything: how Deborah struck Ellie, how her son burned my barn, poisoned Ember, how it was all a plan to steal our land for Lang's development. My voice was steady, but it burned. Then Ellie walked in, small but unbreakable, her eyes locking on Deborah. "You didn't just take my horse," she said, voice soft but sharp. "You tried to take our home, our peace. You thought you were God, but you're nothing now." The jury didn't blink. Deborah lost it, screaming, "I run this town," as her mask shattered. The verdict came fast: guilty, all counts. Arson, assault, conspiracy. I stared at her as they cuffed her, her pearls hitting the floor like broken promises. "You should have stayed in your lane," I said, low and final. "Now you'll rot in mine." At sentencing, Deborah was a shell-orange jumpsuit, no makeup, no crown. The judge gave her 20 years, his gavel like a gunshot. She screamed, "I'll burn your ranch when I'm out." I stood, slow, my voice cutting through her noise. "You already tried, Deborah. All you burned was yourself." They dragged her out, her threats fading to nothing. Victor Lang went down. Tufts nabbed him for fraud, his empire crumbling like sand. The HOA collapsed, fined to oblivion, and Pineview turned on Deborah overnight. Weeks later, I stood by Sage Creek with Ellie, a new filly at her side. Sunrise, she named her, a spark of hope. Clara and Ray were back at the house, laughing over ribs, life stitching itself back together. The creek flowed like nothing had happened, but I felt its scars, the fight, the win. This wasn't just about land or a horse. It was about standing up when someone tries to take what's yours. Deborah thought power made her untouchable. Lang thought money could buy anything. They were wrong. We didn't win with rage, though I felt it, God knows. We won with grit, with law, with the kind of strength that comes from knowing who you are. So, what would you do if someone came for your family, your home? Would you keep your cool, or would you burn it all down? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I am reading everyone. If this story hit you, if you felt that fire, type justice in all caps. Let me know you were with me to the end. Smash that like button, subscribe, hit the bell. We've got more stories like this, where right fights wrong and wins. Because in the end, it's not just about winning, it's about leaving this world better than you found it. And no one, not even a Deborah, can take that from you.